So this is where we left off last time. We have our three visualizations here. This is all the empty cars data set where we have a scatter plot of weight by miles per gallon on the y-axis. And if we delete visualization by clicking on the action button here, we get an action link, and if we click the action link we get visualization 2 back, and then here we get visualization 1 back. So what we're going to do today is we're going, instead of having these default data sets, we're having some real data from my blog, and then what we're going to do is we're going to create two graphs. One is the device category, we're going to have a pie chart, and then another one is just a line graph of the page views. And I've created a folder already with the web_data.csv file in there. So we're going to read this in. Just going to call this df. We're using the reader function, read CSV. Then we're going to use the here package that gets us the project directory. From there we're going into the GA dashboard folder. From there we're going to have the data folder, and then in there is the data. We're going to read this in, and we're going to say view df, and then here we have the date. So we're going to group by date, and then we're going to summarize and sum up all the page views. And for the device category we're going to group it by channel grouping. So, or we can use device category too. We can use the device category column, group by device category, and then we're gonna just count all the desktop ones and all the mobile ones, all the tablet ones, and then we just have to use mutate to get the proportion of mobile, desktop, and tablet. So for this we're just going to create functions for every graph. So we have an R script, and what we can do is we can do the device category first. So we say device category, we have a function, and that function we just have the data frame. So for now it's gonna be web data. Oh, I called it df. Okay, it's gonna be df, and then we're going to group by device category, and then we're going to use summarize, and then I can say sum def cat equals sum equals dplyr, and then we're going to use the n function to get the counts, to sum up the counts, and then I'm just going to ungroup it, and this is what we're going to get. And now we want to get the proportion of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use mutate function. Then we can say prop equals, what we're going to do is, let's just call this n, makes it easier. We're going to say, we're going to round it. So we're going to round it, and we're going to say n divided by sum of n, and then we're going to multiply this by 100, and then round it to 2 decimals after the comma. So now we have this. And in Plotly it's going to be nice, we don't have to put a percentage sign after this in here. So if I would use ggplot, what I would do is I would say paste 0, and then in here I would just have the percentage sign in here, but Plotly is going to do this automatically for us. So we're just going to save this data frame as dfplot. Now we're going to run this, and then below we're going to have our plotly plot. So we're going to say plotly, then we have the data dfplot, then we have the labels, and the labels is going to be device. It's going to be the device category, and then we're also going to have values, and values is going to be prop. And then what we're also going to have, we have the type. We want a pie chart. So if we run this, we see that we get the percentage signs automatically, and we can also see that Plotly adjusts where the text is. So here the tablet category is pretty small, so it's going to show the percentage outside of the pie chart. We're just gonna call this final plot, and then we're going to return the plotly plot. And then we'll save this in the R folder. And we're gonna say device category. We're going to save this, and then previously we list all the files in the R folder, and then we use walk to source all the files in there, so we don't have to do anything. Every file, every R file that we add in here gets automatically sourced when we run the application. So next we're going to have our second visualization, which is going to be the page views. So page views is going to be similar. We have here the data frame. So this time it's going to be even easier, because just going to group by date, and then we're going to use summarize, and we'll say, I don't know, we'll say sum page views equals sum page. I think it's without an underscore. Yeah. So we have the page views by date. Now we're going to ungroup this first. Then we're going to save this again as dfplot. Then we have our plotly plot. After, first we have again our data frame. Now x would be equal to date, and then the y-axis is going to be equal to sum of page views. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say plotly, and then we're going to add lines, and then I think we have to put this one in here as well. Some page views not found. Let's see. Oh, we still have to run this one. Let's see if we delete this one, if it works. Yeah, so, and then we have a line chart of our page views. So what we can do now, we're going to save this to final plot again. And then return final plot. Save this as page views. Save. And then it automatically gets read in again if we run our application. So what we're going to do next is we have to go into the Google Analytics function, but before we're doing this, we're going to create a switch statement. So, or switch function with a switch statement in it. So we're going to say switch fn function, and here what kind of visualization is going to be device category, or is it going to be page views? And then as our second argument is going to be our data frame. So for now it's only going to be the Google Analytics data. Later on we have to be a little bit careful with what data we're going to use. It's going to be either the Search Console data or the Google Analytics data. So inside this switch statement we're going to say switch. So now we have the object, it's going to be the this one, then we're going to have the case. So the case is if we have page views as our header, what we're going to do is we're going to use the page views function. Now if our header says device category, going to use the device category function. Now we're going to save this, and then we have to go in the app.r file, and in there you see we have these IDs here, A, B, and C. For now we only have two visualizations, so we're going to delete the C, and in here we have to specify the headers. So in here we called it page views. So we're going to go in here and then say page views, and the other one was device category. Now we're going to save this. So every time we click on our app and it runs first, it's going to go into the render UI function, and then inside the render UI function it goes in here, and then we have to add visualization, the visualization argument and the df argument in here as well. And then instead of having the plotly, our default plot with miles per gallon and weight, what we're going to do is we're going to use the switch statement in here. We're going to say visualization and df. Going to save this. So again, if it uses the render UI function, it goes in here, and then as df let's call this actually web_data, so it's less confusing. And then let's put this in here as our data frame, and then this argument is gonna get here the page views or the device category, or basically first the page views and then the device category. And this is going to be the y argument. So we had header here equals y, and then the visualization also equals y. So first when we load the application we get the page views graph, and then when it loops again we're going to get the device category visualization because of the switch statement that we have in here, and because of the switch function we defined in here. So we're going to save this, but we're not done yet, because when we load the app everything works fine, but then if we actually delete the HTML and we want to add it back, we have to also put in the arguments in here. So what we have is the data frame, which is equal to web_data, and then we also have the visualization argument, which is equal in this case again to input $ header. Now we're going to save this, and then let's see if it works. We get an error here. So if we go out here, let's see where we get the error from. maybe it's from here. So we have our data frame. This worked fine previously. Then we go inside here. We have our data frame here. Here as well. We have our data frame in here. And then let's see. Oh, I said switch here. It should be switch underscore fn, because we're going to call the function here. Now we're going to run this again. Okay, so here we have our page views, and here we have our device category. So now if we delete the graphs, we get 2 action links, and now because we defined the switch statement in that way, if we click on page views, from the JavaScript header gets sent to the R server, and from there our switch statement determines which function we want to run. It's going to be the page views function, or is it going to be the device category function. So if we click on page views, we get the page views function, which produces the page views graph. And if we click on the device category function, we're going to click the device category graph pops up. So we'll be doing this with other visualizations as well. And all we basically have to do from now on is we can just extend it A, B, C, D, E, and then we have to make some more .r files where we have functions for specific graphs. And what we're going to do then is we just have to populate the switch statement in here with more functions. And that's basically then very easy to extend the visualizations of our application.